Thanks, Wes. And the woman who was found dead on St. Thomas recently has now been officially identified. News Channel 8's Lee Carl on St. Thomas has more.
It was about 2 weeks ago when we broke the story of a body of a woman found died of gunshot wounds in a sort of gutter at the Pauline Pearson Gardens housing community. The woman's name and age was released on Monday. The dead woman had been identified as 47-year-old June Lake. Investigators did not release her name earlier because they were waiting for the relatives to arrive from overseas. A law enforcement officer assigned to the VI Superior Court found Lake lying face down on the sidewalk with what appeared to be multiple gunshot wounds. The court marshal contacted a police officer who was driving by. Major crime, still actively investigating the deaths on the possibility, now this is not the official police report, possibility that Lake may have been or saw a murder scene that took place out in the East End, but the officials did not elaborate on that. Lake's murder can call the major crime line detectives if they have any information at 715-5522, 715-5514, or 1-800-222-TIPS. By the way, there is a standing reward of $10,000 by the VI Police Department for information leading to the arrest of any homicide suspect. And this, of course, has been listed as a homicide. Her identification is 47-year-old June Lake. In St. Thomas, Lee Carl for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Lee Carl. Well, everybody's been talking about the suspect who recently tried to rob a church on St. Croix. 18-year-old Kurt Huggins is a definite candidate for Thursday's Dumb Crook Award. But now, Kurt might have some competition. Here's News Channel 8's Wes Small with the details.
Thanks a lot, Jerome. Again, we're here in Castle Coakley and now starting to bring to the light, as it is, what happened here at the Iglesia de Dios Sol de Justicia. Please excuse my Spanish, here at the church that happened over the weekend. You might remember it was 18-year-old Kurt Huggins from Herman Hill. We're looking at his picture now. Ironically, it was a youth service prayer. They were praying for the children on St. Croix. When here comes 18-year-old Kurt Rocket Science Huggins, who decided to come into the church when they were praying for the youth, and he decided to rob God. Once again, he pointed a 9mm pistol at about 35 or 40 young and old people alike who were just going to have a special service on Friday night at 9 o'clock. Then what happened then, as parishioners were complying with Huggins and giving him their belongings, the youth pastor stepped up and started to empty his pockets and give it to the young man. As he did that, he slapped the gun away from Kurt Huggins, wrestled Kurt to the floor, and then another parishioner grabbed the 9mm gun and ran to the back of the church to make sure that that young man, if he did get out of the grasp of the other people, he didn't get that weapon. Then they tied up Kurt Huggins, and then they prayed for him until police came to the scene. Imagine that, praying for the youth and the troubles here on the island, and then here comes a troubled youth with a gun. It's almost like God was watching, you know? They say God has his pajamas on, but he's not asleep. So Kurt is still a strong contender for Thursday's Dumb Crook category. But now, just when you thought Kurt had it wrapped up, there's another contender that comes about. From St. Thomas, we have another woman from the Dominican Republic. Now, last week, a woman from the Dominican Republic, she was the Dumb Crook of the Week because, remember, the toilet bowl incident. Well, this time we've got a woman from the Dominican Republic. Her name is Kayla Mota Pimentel. Here's what happened. The mother of four, her husband never came home that night, unfortunately. And the next morning, she ran into him at a beauty parlor with another woman. Oh, boy, that shouldn't happen. And then she picked up a rock, upside the head. She knocked him in the head. Then police came, and he really didn't want to press charges. I guess he had known he did something horribly wrong. So with that thrusts Mota Pimentel right to the top of the list as a dumb crook. But rest assured, Mota, so far Kurt Huggins, who tried to rob God, is still in first place. If you'd like to nominate a winner for Thursday's Dumb Crook, this is serious, you could call the newsroom and my extension directly, 5008, extension 226. I'll be waiting for your call. It doesn't have to be local. If you know another idiot who's broken the law and done something stupid in Australia, we'll take it. 778-5008, extension 226. Trust me, every week there'll be a dumb crook. If not locally, there'll be one nationally or internationally. That's just the way it is. But back to this, Kurt Huggins, thank God now. God, right? No one was injured. And Kurt, again, he's in the #1 position for the Dumb Crook of the Week. And that is on Thursday. Don't forget to call and make your vote. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Wes. And your Caribbean report is up next. Stay with us on Channel 8 News. Let's take a look at your Caribbean report for tonight. All the stories are coming out of Trinidad tonight. Prime Minister Patrick Manning will welcome an opportunity to rebut allegations in court that he promised state resources to the leader of a radical militant group that led a bloody coup attempt back in 1990. It was Abu Bakr and his followers that stormed Parliament, took the Prime Minister hostage, and 24 people died in that rebellion. The rebels were eventually surrendered and also pardoned. Also in Trinidad, 5 people were shot and killed recently. Police said 2 gunmen stormed a birthday party for a gang member and opened fire. The shooting took place in Carib. That's your Caribbean report for tonight. And Governor John DeYoung recently spoke at a church meeting that discussed violence in our territory. News Channel 8's Lee Carl files this report.
It's when the community says enough is enough. People for Progress, headed by former Senator Roosevelt David, gathered the largest group of people ever at Victor's. They scheduled for 300 and wound up with close to 500 people. The Lieutenant Governor, the Governor, the First Lady, Reverend Jefferson Niles, Senator Louis Patrick Hill, and others got a chance to speak at this very important get-together that had a strong message, and that is, enough is enough.
It is time for us to recognize that we have a generation of promise, that we don't need to have them be drawn down by what is happening in this community, and that it is time for us to realize that the children are not just our future, but they're also our present. That we have to recognize that the young people of today are very different, and the circumstances and the challenges that they have are very different than the ones that we had when we were growing up. They no longer fight, they pull knives. They no longer scream at each other, they jump on each other. They don't just go home and talk about it, they put it on Facebook. They talk about it in YouTube. And when they do it on YouTube and Facebook, then they connect as a community, giving spirit, giving life to somebody else. In an age that is wisdom, we have to decide, how do we address that? How do we begin to understand that being a young person in this community today, it is difficult? And I talk not just as governor, I talk as a father with 3 children. A daughter that just started college for the first time last week that I didn't get an opportunity to go to and place her in school. A son who's in his 3rd year and will soon be stepping out. And my youngest that is having the pain and excitement of going into 6th grade. So I just don't talk in the abstract. I understand what it is to get up and fix breakfast. I understand what it is to go through traffic and wait in traffic, dropping my son to school.